right, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody coming out, especially this early. I think Ryan wasn't even awake yet when we walked in, so I think it's good we got some coffee in him. Phillip Warren with Dun & Bradstreet. I manage the channel for Dun & Bradstreet nationally. I think, you know, when you look at Dun & Bradstreet, the neat thing is there's no better way to track a business than the DUNS number. If you're a company and you need to get your credit checked, you got to have a DUNS number, and it's almost a social security number for a business. So a great way to keep your companies that you're dealing with tracked, but also helps eliminate duplication, and we'll talk about some of the things other things it'll do for you. So how much is dirty data costing you? I don't think people necessarily conceptualize or fully realize the negative impacts of dirty data. They estimate data degrades at 3% every month, and that is a low estimate, which means that if you've got no mechanism to cleanse your data, then after a year, a third of your data could be bad. Some people estimate 4% data degradation, which means after a year, 50% of your data could be bad. So what are you doing to prevent this? What are you doing to address these things? And this rate of change is continuing to occur and happening faster and faster. And we'll talk about some of the changes that happen in a short amount of time, but do you have a mechanism in place? And if not, we can show you ways where you can keep that dynamically updated and keep up with that rate of change. We have information on about 250 million businesses worldwide, and we do 5 million updates to our database every day. And we notify you of those updates when they occur, allows you to keep your data dynamic. So just to kind of underscore my point, here's some changes that occur every minute of every day. Tinder users swipe 416,000 times. Facebook users share 2.4 million pieces of content. Yelp posts 26,000 plus reviews. Again, I'm not going to cover all of these, but again, you see the rate of change, what's happening. More and more data. We're getting information quicker. That information is changing quicker. The world is moving quickly. So how do we keep up with it within our CRMs? So this is the amount of changes in 30 minutes. And this is based on, I think, our domestic database. We have about 150 million companies information. So within 30 minutes, business addresses, 120 change their addresses. 75 people change their phone numbers. This last one was really interesting to me. 20 CEOs left their job in 30 minutes. Now extrapolate that. So after a year, 83,000 CEOs left their job. Now when you think about sales reps, you think about marketing, pursuing entities, and if you're pursuing the wrong entities because you've got the wrong information, think about the time waste that's going on there. Think about how ineffective marketing campaigns become. Because now you're going to bad data and you're marketing to bad data. Creates a lot of frustration, wasted time, and inefficiencies. So business addresses, almost 500,000 changed. So you can see it's pretty significant, okay? And I think most people underestimate how bad this data is. In fact, in past roles that I've had, we knew the data was bad. We knew it wasn't good. But we kind of said it can't be that bad. But here we are making strategic decisions based on kind of not bad data. Probably those decisions are not going to be all that effective. So here's some just normal questions to ask yourself. Do you hear complaints from your colleagues about the bad data in your CRM? How does a sales rep or a marketing person look at a CRM if they know their data is bad? As a sales rep, in a lot of cases, I think that leads to putting in the most minimal amount of information just to get your boss off your back, right? So how can I just kind of put something in there that's a quick blurb just to kind of check the box, if you will, but they're not maximizing the value of a CRM implementation? And think about the costs associated with putting in a CRM, the training time, getting everything straight so, people buy in. And if we know the data's bad, that's the first thing that's going to have them buy out. How do you measure the quality of your prospect and customer data? Do you have a measuring mechanism in place? Is your CRM data quality slowing sales, suppressing marketing results, inhibiting customer support? Of course it is. If it's bad data, you don't have a mechanism to clean it. And how are you perceived if your customer support personnel have inaccurate information and they don't have the correct information when they're talking to your customers? How does that reflect on your organization? How do you integrate unstructured data like news and social media? The race no longer goes to who can cold call the best, who can ask the best questions. The race goes to who can understand their customers the best, who can provide perspective on their industry, their pain points, their challenges they're facing day in and day out. The individual that can best do that is the one that's going to create those long-term relationships, become a trusted business advisor. Because customers run into these problems, and they're not unovercomable, but they can't see the forest for the trees. Einstein's got a great quote. He says, "The problems we create cannot be solved at the same level of thinking at which we created them." Which basically means I created a problem on a certain level, and because I created it on the same level of thinking, I have a hard time seeing around it, seeing different ways to attack the problem. A good sales rep will understand their customers and be able to provide them perspective, help give them an overview, help them look at their business differently. And if you can help a customer look at their business differently, if you can help them maybe realize problems they didn't even know they had, what's that going to do for you and your relationship? What's that going to do for your long-term health of your customer relationship? What's going to happen when your competitor walks in the door? What's your customer going to say? They're probably going to say, "No thanks. Get out before I kick you out." Next slide. So, how do you feel about your CRM? We talked about this. You know, CRM, for a sales rep, they view it as an administrative task. And as a sales rep, you want to focus on revenue-generating activities. That needs to be your whole thought process. It's very easy to get caught up in busy work. So if I'm a sales rep and I've got a quota that I've got to hit, I want to make sure I'm focusing on things that are causing me to make money. Excuse me. And most sales reps don't view it that way. They don't have the prospect or industry information that they need. Like I said, you know, that is something that sales reps dearly want. And in the past, when I've done sales training, these reps have had to go to 6 or 7 resources to get the kind of information that we can provide in your CRM. So you're not having to go to different resources. We call it the swivel chair effect, when you're going back and forth between all these different resources to gain the customer intelligence that you need. And I think it's going to lend itself more to pre-call planning. A lot of sales reps don't do that pre-call planning, where they really think about, hey, what's my goal? What's my objective of this meeting? What kind of questions do I want to ask? And they put that together ahead of time. Because if you don't, let's say you don't have questions prepared, and you're in a client meeting, and you're going back and forth, and they bring up a point, and you say, "Oh, I want to write down a question that explores that more." As you're writing the question down, the customer's still talking, and you're missing everything they're saying. Also, if you've been in sales for any amount of time, you walked out of a client's office, and you realize there's a topic that you didn't explore. There's an avenue that you wanted to get information on that you neglected to do so. If beforehand you write questions down that attack the company in a holistic manner, where you make sure that all that information is gathered. Sometimes you don't need to ask those questions because that information is going to come out as a natural progression of the sales process, but I want to be sure that I've got all my bases covered. The best way to do that is pre-call planning, preparing questions ahead of time. Marketing, obviously, if you're marketing to data that's inaccurate, you know, you're going to have an ineffective marketing campaign. You're not effectively building the pipeline because that's your goal, right? How do we bring in customers without our sales reps directly having to contribute activity? Now, obviously, they need to prospect, they need to bring in customers, but how do we help their efforts? How do we become a force multiplier? We can't do that with bad data. Customer care, we talked about this, losing credibility with your customer. Image is a big thing. Perception is a big thing. If you are perceived as not knowing what you're doing, have bad information, you don't understand your customers, it's not going to reflect very well on you as an organization. So here are some of the metrics. 87% of customers don't believe the salesperson truly understands their business issues or can present a relevant solution. Sales has evolved. Back in the 80s, when a customer needed information, where would they go? Phone book? To call who? The sales rep, right? They were the keeper of the information. That's what they did. Now, as you go through time, the internet evolves. Now, customers can gain access to the information. So what do now? They present comprehensive solutions to address all of their customers' needs. So many things, a service plan, data, the actual product, whatever, but a comprehensive solution. Now, this is the name of the game. Who understands their business solutions. If I want to break through to a C-level player, how do I break through? I give them a call and say, hey, I'd like to tell you about my products and services and sell you something. Let me come by. How's Tuesday at 2? Is a CEO or a C-level person going to take that appointment? But if you frame your approach through the prism of their business challenges, are they going to be more likely to spend time with you? Sure. Because you understand their business. Maybe you can suggest ways to see a way around those business challenges. Maybe you can have an impact on those things. And if you can have an impact on what your customer's dealing with day in and day out, that's good stuff. I'm going to have Steve play a video here real quick that kind of reinforces some of these points I'm trying to make.
From the first day I started selling, I was told that I should never, ever assume that it would only lead to failure. Instead, I was supposed to be consultative, learning about a prospect situation before I made any definitive recommendations or pronouncements. Well, today things are different. To be effective in today's business environment, you need to assume. Why? Because it makes you sound like you know what's going on. Let me show you what I mean. If you are non-assumptive, your first conversation with a prospect might go like this. Hi, Pat. I'm Jill Conrath with Leapfrog Strategies. We specialize in state-of-the-art solutions for companies like yours, and I'd like to meet with you to find out about how you're handling your needs in this area and to show you how we can help. Crazy busy prospect wouldn't waste 1 second with you with that message. But if you said this, the reaction you get would be fundamentally different. Pat, Jill Conrath here. I know how much the economy is having an impact on manufacturing companies like yours. We've found that way too many organizations are paying too much on their software licenses. We've been able to trim their expenses by up to 22.7% in the first year alone. Let's set up a time to talk about how we can impact your company. See the difference? When you assume your prospects have similar issues and concerns, you can frame your conversation so that you can showcase your expertise. So start assuming today, even though you've been told you shouldn't.
Now notice in that second one, she never mentioned her company or what it is she did. She talked about the gains and the benefits a customer has been able to experience as a result of working with her. What are they going to say no to? That, if you have a percentage increase or percentage a deal where they've gotten better or created more efficiencies within their business, are they going to say, no, I'm not interested in learning about that? Now, some of them may, but I think you've got a much better chance of breaking through. So a quick story, and one of my favorite stories, even though it's not the most lighthearted story in the world. But who's familiar with Stephen Covey in here? Stephen Covey, day planners? Okay, good. If you haven't read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, read it. It's a watershed book. It gets a little slow at times, but it's definitely worth getting through it. So Stephen's on a train one morning, okay? And a gorgeous morning, and a very peaceful atmosphere and environment on the train. Everyone's kind of drinking their coffee, reading their newspaper. It's just very pleasant. It's one of those mornings. And so all of a sudden, a guy gets on the train with his 2 kids. And his 2 kids are raising Cain. I mean, they're running up and down the aisle, hitting everybody's newspapers, causing people to spill their coffee, really disrupting this nice atmosphere. And Covey's not the type of person who would normally say something, right? He's kind of more of a reserved guy. But he was getting to the point where he was getting a little ticked off. So finally, as this continues, he says, you know what, I got to say something. So he walks up to the guy and says, listen, I don't know if you've noticed, but your kids are really causing a problem on this train. Do you think you could, rein them in a little bit? And the guy kind of comes up out of a stupor and says, oh yeah, you're right. I guess I should. We came from the hospital and their mother just died. and I'm afraid I don't know how to handle it. What just happened there? We walked in with an assumption that this guy was a bad father, this guy couldn't control his kids. Someone needs to talk to this guy to make him realize that, you know, he's kind of out of control and his kids are out of control. And so many times we walk in to a client, or sales reps walk into a client, and they're making these same types of assumptions. They've dealt with this type of client before. Yeah, they're just like this other client. The customer starts talking. They start designing the solution in their head. And meanwhile, the customer's still talking. What Jill is saying, now assumptions are dangerous, right? Obviously, it blew up in our face in that scenario. But what Jill is saying is, hey, assumptions can be good if they're educated assumptions. And if they're educated assumptions, what we want to do is we want to put ourselves in our customer's shoes. The more we understand them, the more we can line up with them, the more we can sync up our selling process with their buying process, the more effective we're going to be, the more money we're going to make. What happens if you have an impact on all of those challenges that a customer has? What's going to happen when you get down to the negotiating table? Are they going to beat you up? Maybe. But those people write the budgets. They put the budgets together. If you're able to do all those things for their business, is that process going to be easier? I would contend that it would be. Poor data quality drains on average of $8.2 million in squandered resources. I think that's low, frankly. I think it's really hard to understand the ramifications, especially when you think about a perception issue, a customer perception issue. Forrester estimates 55% of large North American and European companies have a CRM in place. Another 23% plan to purchase in the next 12 months. CRM will become the #1 expenditure for corporations in terms of an application, a business application, replacing ERP in 2 years. So it's obviously a needed thing within organizations, but if it's not used correctly, if the vision's not set correctly, if the data's bad, then that investment can be for naught. 77% of buyers will not talk to a sales rep unless they have conducted independent research. Won't even talk to them. 55% of B2B buyers indicate sales reps are unprepared for initial meetings. Think about that. I think that number's low, frankly. How much does it take to go spend 30 minutes before you walk into a client's office trying to understand? From Forrester, understanding their company and focus on driving a business result are the two things a customer associates with a strategic vendor. So if you put your sales process through the prism of gaining enough information in order to put a proposal together, in order to get it to the customer so they can buy, which is what unfortunately probably more sales reps than we would like to think do, as opposed to understanding their business issues, focusing on driving a business result, accelerating what they're trying to accomplish, it's a little bit of a different mindset. 75% of executives said strategic vendors would be rewarded with more bonuses. Unfortunately, only 36% of execs agreed that these account reps were delivering towards those expectations. So a bunch of data to throw at you, but I think sales reps realize it as well, because 70% of sales reps say they want integrated customer intelligence within their CRM. The customers want it. Sales reps know they need it. Let's make it easy. Why make it more difficult? They've already got a system in place. Let's integrate this data there so everything they need is in one place. So, data quality concerns. There's really three main things. There's duplicates, incorrects, and incompletes. The duplicate thing is the thing that hits home pretty hard for me because of my past lives. We use CRMs and they had a lot of great data in there, but I would go in to put information into a specific record for a partner, and maybe it was a partner I didn't deal with that much. They'd have 5 or 6 different listings for the same partner, each worded slightly differently. And by the way, if I put the information into the wrong record, it wouldn't tell me till I completed the first page and I went to press save. Only then would I get an error message. That is not untypical. And by the way, if you're experiencing that, what is your perception of the CRM? Probably not very good. This, I'll let you look at this comic strip real quick. So I know the data's bad. Companies know the data's bad. They know it's not right. And they say, oh, it's close enough. It's decent. Making strategic decisions based on decent data. Big miss. And then here, you know, like I said, tough to quantify the impact of that. Tough to quantify it. So sales, your effectiveness, limited, can be limited by CRMs. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not talking bad about CRMs here. I'm telling you some of the missteps, right? Incomplete information, not enough new prospects, limited or no company research. You know, when we look at all these things, really we want to make sure we're getting an adoption from, that's pretty much the number one fear when I talk to customers who are looking to buy a CRM. What's my adoption going to be? How am I going to get these guys to use it? How am I going to sell them on the vision? And to me, that's one of the big things missing is the vision and reinforcing that vision of what you're trying to accomplish through a CRM implementation process. But all these things don't help. So imagine, that's the negative side, right? Now imagine what you can accomplish with these things. Right prospect information at your fingertips, industry information, contact names, competitor information. Information automatically updated and enriched. Dynamically update your information. What if you can eliminate that 3% data degradation to 1%? What does that do? What does that result into? What's the ramifications of that? Marketing ROI, we're marketing to better data. Obviously the results are going to be better. Sales is excited about using CRM because now it's more of a revenue generating activity in their mind. They're preparing to maximize their sales opportunity by the research that's integrated already in their CRM. Customer support, not only do they get through resolutions more quickly, but they've got the right information. So there's a positive perception. So all these things, hopefully, they're going to accelerate the time to yes. Okay? If all these things come together, and come together like we hope they will, it's going to get us there quicker. The social selling, finding new prospects, talking points for the industry. This is really big, understanding their industry. Understanding their specific things that are going on, and also what are others doing in your space to address those issues. Those big challenges that the industry has, what are others doing? That's what customers want to know. That's the value you can add through the sales process. So this slide, customer and prospect relationships, this is kind of the ecosystem. It's really a way to provide a global view of current and potential customers. So how do we target the right people? Who are the right people for our solution? How do we capture the data when they come on your website? How do we capture that? How do we nurture those leads? When they come on our website and we've interacted with them, how do we make sure that we're top of mind? And then how do we collect information on what their needs, what their challenges are, to have an impact on them and make them want to move forward with us? Make them see the benefits of moving forward. So what we can do, improve predictive targeting, increase web conversion, improve campaign performance by 15%, and accelerate the sales cycle. Now, everybody in here probably likes long sales cycles as much as I do, but if you can move through it quickly, more quickly, results faster, hit quota quicker, overall revenue goals, all those things happen more quickly. This is a Forrester survey on our results of our data being integrated into a CRM. 25% sales opportunity growth, 21% increase in CRM adoption, 23% in sales production boost. Think about these percentages. Now, let's say you say these percentages are high. Cut them in half. Cut them in half and ask a client how much, with 9.5% of higher attainment of sales quota, what that would equate into in terms of dollars and cents. Give me the numbers. If you had 25% sales opportunity growth, what's that going to equate to? Half of it, what's that going to equate to? It's a significant number, and there's your ROI right there. There's your ROI. That's what customers want to know in terms of dollars and cents. Sometimes we do a great job talking about all the features and how sexy a CRM is, but what's it going to do for the customers? What's it going to result in? So, Dun & Bradstreet, we're helping people grow valuable relationships. We're trying to make observations from data. They're going to help your business, help you get better at what you do. And that's really the key. How can we help customers be better at what they do? Hopefully by providing this data, providing this perspective, providing a holistic view for our customers, that's going to help them have an impact on their issues. And if we can do that, we can get to the point where we want to be, a trusted business advisor. So we've got nearly 2 centuries of helping businesses. Abraham Lincoln worked for Dun & Bradstreet. I'm not even joking when I say that. It shows you how long we've been around. We've got the world's largest commercial database. There is no doubt, because of our credit relationships, there's no better way to gain company business intelligence than the DUNS number. We collect information from 30,000 different authoritative sources. So the information we have is not crowdsourced. 30,000 different authoritative sources. We talked about doing 5 million updates per day. We also recently acquired a company called Net Prospects. They are bringing to us 40 million individual contacts for individuals to supplement our industry data, company data. They have algorithms that are going to help us continue to understand that better, because people tracking individuals is always going to be a challenge. When people leave, businesses go out of business, people come in brand new to a company, how do you track that information? I think you'll find Net Prospects is going to help us do it even better than we do today. More than 240 million company records. And then we talked about the DUNS right. We talked about the DUNS number and the DUNS right process. We won't go into DUNS right now, but just know that because of the DUNS number, we can eliminate the duplication, we can keep your information dynamically updated, and we can prevent a lot of those incorrect and incompletes in your data. And if those are the main issues with CRM, and Dun & Bradstreet can have a significant impact on that, imagine how that's going to optimize that overall experience for your organization. So, unmatched ability to turn enormous streams of data into the information that you need. Spit it out in the way that you need it. There's scads of data out there, scads of information, but how do we make sure it impacts you positively in the stuff that you need to do your job every day? So, this is what we're trying to achieve. A little bit of a clunky acronym, ACT plus C, but this is what we're trying to get to. A, the right information on the right entity. C, completeness, a robust amount of information on your client. Timeliness, the most updated information that's available out there. Automatically updated. Cross-border consistency, no conflicting information. I was talking to someone this morning talking about 2 sales reps are claiming an entity as theirs. No, this is my customer. And they've got information entered in on 2 different company records, the same company name. How do we get that cross-border consistency? And if that doesn't happen, what's that going to do? Imagine the problems. You have 2 people doing double work, 2 highly paid salespeople. One of them did all that work for naught. Or they're going to share commissions, and it's kind of like kissing your sister, right? What's that good that doing for you? So prevention. Here's how much it costs to prevent. $1 per record. Resolution. To fix it, to resolve the issue, $10 per record. And then a correction, correct everything once it's been bad, $100 per record. Now, I don't think many people realize those ramifications. Again, they just kind of, maybe it's not paying attention to it or not really kind of fully thinking it through. Denial is a powerful thing. But if they see these metrics and they even buy them to them halfway, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. So growth is the lifeblood of the business, right? So if growth is the lifeblood of the business, how do companies grow? $3.8 trillion on IT, trying to get our systems optimized to help growth. $10 billion on mobile marketing, trying to help mobile applications create that growth. We try to travel it, try to expand our reach that way. Go all over the place, spend $300 billion on travel. We try to sponsor it, we try to throw money at it. $50.3 billion on sponsorships. Try to expand our business. $431 billion on consultants. So we're trying to spend all this money to grow our business, significant funds. But all this is often done in vain. We did an analysis of more than 300,000 companies. Only 30% grew in 2014. Only 30%. Think about all this money that's spent. $10 billion on CRM software. If those investments are made with the agreement that it's going to help grow our business, don't we owe it to ourselves to maximize what we're doing with our CRM? To make it as potent as possible? So we maximize those dollars? So here's another quick video for you. Patrick Booher.
D&B's given us that foundation for information, the foundation for who our customers are. With D&B, we've been able to get that kernel of this company at this site with this many people in this industry and really understand who they are. From that, we've been able to connect many other different types of information about that customer together and market to them more effectively, sell to them more effectively, understand who they're related to, understand more about their industry overall, where we have white space, where we've penetrated, and it's been a good relationship with D&B.
So, all the things we discussed. Customer management professionals tell us poor data management is one of the biggest barriers to getting value from CRM systems. And then 1/3 of companies have seen CRM rollouts offer minimal success due to the underestimation having a clear vision from the company. So going back to Stephen Covey, he does a lot of consulting with organizations. And he would walk into organizations and he'd talk to the C-level people and say, hey, what's your vision for the company? And these CEOs would put together this grandiose vision for the company. I'd say, what would all your people say, your employees say? So they'd say the same thing. They'd say, okay, let's go walk around. And he'd go walk around and they'd find people in the hall and ask them. And guess what? The visions did not align. So that's another issue they have is, hey, how do we express the vision? How do we show people what the value they're getting from it? How do we reinforce that message? Those are the types of things that these people are struggling with. I'm not saying D&B data is going to magically fix all of this, but I guarantee you it'll have a significant impact on your rollout, the success of your rollout, and the results you get as a result. So this is just kind of our mantra. As you can see, we just changed our logo here. You see the little D and the B and the thing? That's pretty cool. So we're data inspired. That's what we do. We do data. And we try to make sure it is consumable by our customers in an easy format to understand and to turn around. Relentlessly curious, still finding ways where we can better capture that data. It's always interesting. Those are the people I think that are most effective in business, people that are truly curious. Why do these people do what they do? How did they get there? What's their motivation? What are they trying to accomplish? What we can do can help you do that. And then inherently generous, trying to help people be better at what they do, trying to have them have more success. I've done channel management for a while now, and I think one of the reasons I enjoy doing it so much is if I can have an impact on helping small to mid-sized businesses be better at what they do and have them experience results as a result of our relationship, there's nothing more satisfying than that. To really help somebody and to help them see their business differently, achieve better results, both through the barriers they're experiencing day in and day out. It's a different way to look at business, but if you look at business that way, it's amazing how it lifts everybody up. The rising tide lifts all boats, right? That's all we have today. Appreciate everybody taking out some time today. Excited to talk to you about Dun & Bradstreet. It's obviously something that we feel strongly about, and I think as you see more and more as data progresses, as CRMs become more and more of a viable alternative for organizations, they see the value of it. These types of things, it's the way to go to optimize your experience and your customer's experience as well. Thank you very much for the time. Appreciate it. We'll be around for any questions. Anybody have anything?
So I got a couple of things from the developer's perspective. I like that statistic you had on the very first slide about 3% data degradation. Mm-hmm. This is just my speculation. I suspect it would actually be higher because it doesn't take into account what the programmers and database administrators are doing wrong. And it's actually a very, very hard programming problem to get a database to work the way it should work and to keep it continually working. They're very hard to build, they're very hard to test. Also, some of the solutions that you presented that Dun & Bradstreet offer, like for instance, the problem of duplicates, right? That's actually a much harder programming problem to solve than you would think. Like my boss said, hey John, I need you to write something that will eliminate duplicate contacts in our CRM. That's actually really difficult. And if you've ever had like Apple or Google manage your contacts list and you've done like you click remove duplicates, it doesn't do it with 100% accuracy. This is Apple and Google, So it's like, what I hear is like, man, if I could just plug in my computer to Dun & Bradstreet's computer, and they've done a lot of those programming, they've solved a lot of those programming problems for me already. So I don't have to worry about that crap. It's like I just plug into Dun & Bradstreet, I talk to them, they talk to me, and then the sales reps in our organization are getting correct data. And also when things go wrong, very, very low likelihood of the boss blaming me.
Right.
Absolutely.
I've got some cash to hand you outside, by the way. No, it's a great point. And, every business only has one DUNS number. So think about that. If every business only has one DUNS number, then you're going to know when you go into the record if there's duplication in there. You're going to know. And it keeps it dynamic. It's a huge point. And I agree with you about the low estimate of 3%. I always use low estimates. But I've seen as high as 5%. But even if it's 4%, that's half of your data after a year. And you're telling me how difficult it is to cleanse data. It's huge. It really is. Anything else?
When we were talking before the meeting, and I was telling you about how I fought a legendary battle when I was at MetLife with senior level managers there to finally get data.com, which, for those of you who don't know, it integrates Dun & Bradstreet amongst other things with Salesforce. Well, one of the points on which I was not able to defeat an old school way of thinking was, we want human eyes reviewing everything. There's a property you can set in that application called Clean, which runs a batch job and does the comparison, and it can do various things depending on what level you pick. It can either flag a record for review, or it can automatically update it, or it can fill in blank fields. I could not convince people that the value of that was worth more than, oh, there's some foreign entity coming in and updating our systems, and oh, we just want to be 100% certain. They ended up buying the data.com and done a Bradstreet, but not turning any of that on. I thought that was a ridiculous loss of functionality. But how do you address that? I mean, it's not that their concerns are not legitimate, but how do you address something like that?
Well, it depends on the CRM, right? I know there are certain CRMs that we integrate with where it tells you the information's different, but it doesn't make the change until you accept it and say, yeah, I want to accept that, because, hey, we may have a direct line for a CEO, but you have their cell phone number, right? And, you know, we wouldn't want to overwrite that data. Steve, do you know about, is there an option where you can give them that? So for instance, in Salesforce, I'm not sure how it works.
I was actually just going to echo the statement that you made, that we, in an effort to design it in a way that was going to meet everybody's needs, is to provide functionality just like what Phillip mentioned, where, hey, we're not here to overwrite and purge what you've got. You can still have that human review. But if you think about it, what we're trying to do is make everything easier, right? So if you've got 1,000 records, but only 3 of them need that human intervention, why not let us clean the 997 automatically while you're asleep? Why don't you let us do it overnight? And you know, if a field is empty, we'll populate it. If a field is populated with something, we won't overwrite yours until you get a chance to review it. So that functionality is available there.
Yep. I couldn't even convince them of that.
It may have been, you know, it may, and I appreciate you working so hard for us. We've definitely.
Yeah, we owe some people some money.
I was working hard for me too. I got tired of salespeople complaining to me that the information that they had put in was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish we could go back and have that conversation again and show them, you know, that's because people are very protective of their data, even though they know it's got, you know, some pimples on it.
Yeah.
Right? People are still extremely protective of that.
It's like telling their child's ugly.
That's exactly right. When you show, right. So we even talk about that too, showing pictures of their children. You have to be delicate in the way you talk about how big their heads are compared to their body.
Do you have extensive experience telling people that the children are ugly?
I do.
Is that, you know that from experience?
Yesterday was a prime example. I do a lot of direct mail for my clients, so they provide me databases. Yesterday I was provided with 1,200 prospects that are going to be mailed and emailed and for a trade show, and the data's all inaccurate. I mean, I can open up the file, look at their access, and just say, you know, it's incorrect, and this is what's going to cost you for me to fix it prior to me doing anything, and it's always time sensitive. And when, you know, the little comment you had about correction at $100 a record, that's probably even low.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies provide me data that is so inaccurate. The post office is a prime example. I can't mail anything without doing the national change of address update on all that, because they have billions of dollars worth of mail that's undeliverable that just ends up in a recycle waste pile.
Right.
So it's that information is it's basically that's what I did. I called the CEO and said, look, you know, your baby's ugly. You know, and this is what it's going to cost you for me to fix it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be able to meet your time frame as to what you need to do until this information is fixed. So you can fix it or I'll fix it. So
We do have a process outside of the CRM called Optimizer, which can take a customer database like that and cleanse it.
And good for you for, you know, for having that conversation, you know, because I think that proves the value that you bring to the situation to go, listen, I can do this for you, but you're going to get a, you're going to get a 6% deliverability rate and a 0.01% response rate.
Right.
And, there's hard cost consequences to that, right? Depending on what they're sending. Is it an $8 catalog? Is it, and on top of that is, there's hard costs and the soft costs of the perception of your business if you're mailing 3 or 4 things to the same company.
Right. Well,
there's a perception there.
And the thing is the real upfront cost is they're spending almost $80,000 for a trade show, and that doesn't include what they're paying me to do a small mailing and an email broadcast. So they're looking for response rate to create traffic, and they've paid this amount of money, and
And how do you monetize the negative issues that result from that, right? That's what we talk about. It's tough to estimate the impact, but in a scenario like that, what if they don't get enough interest from enough people, and they've only touch a minimal amount of people, and then only so many of those people are going to do something instead of.
And that's why I was going to ask you for your slide, because there's some data in there that I could actually come back and say, look, studies show that here's the percentage that's actually costing. Here's some hard facts.
Absolutely.
So,
anybody here ever watch?
I'm sorry?
Which one do you want? Which slide?
Well, I was just going to say the one about the actual cost is about slide number 4 or 5, I think.
Right, the cost of fixing it.
Yeah. But.
I think you already.
Well, that one.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah. Anybody ever watch Seinfeld? Big Seinfeld fans? So, exactly. That's exactly where I was going. So I'm going to put that. I'm going to make that a new video. Because for those who haven't seen it, they go over to visit a friend, and the friend just had a new baby, and so Jerry and somebody else walk up and like, oh, it's so cute. Oh, do one of those. So we got to put that in a video in here and say, your baby's ugly, people, face it. Oh, it would be. No, that's done. That's done. Yeah. Anything else? Well, again, hey, appreciate your time. Make sure you clean up the food or I'll have to eat it, and I don't need it. So have a great day, everybody. Appreciate it.